After nearly 2 years of relentless bloodshed in Gaza, Donald Trump now claims he is on the brink of brokering peace. Standing beside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the White House, Trump unveiled what he calls a 20-point plan, a supposed roadmap to end the war.
In the short term, the plan calls for Hamas to release all remaining hostages. Israel would free hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Gaza would be flooded with badly needed humanitarian aid. But there's a lot more to this plan. Hamas would be required to disarm, essentially to surrender and exit the political scene. Instead, a new body of internationally backed technocrats, apolitical technocrats, would run the day-to-day affairs of Gaza under the supervision of an international body led by President Trump himself. The U.S. would also lead a massive reconstruction effort. There would also be an international peacekeeping force to maintain the quiet, led primarily by Arab countries. In addition, there are plans in place for the Palestinian Authority eventually to return, after undergoing reforms, to return to power and govern in Gaza. There is even a potential pathway for the establishment of an independent Palestinian state.
On paper, the plan looks dramatic. Hamas must release all hostages, Israel pauses its offensive, and a new governing arrangement is put in place in Gaza. Trump even went as far as to declare that the end of the war is closer than ever.
So today is a historic day for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues, including Iran, trade, the expansion of the Abraham Accords, and most importantly, we discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East, and let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East.
The endorsement from Qatar, Jordan, the UAE, Indonesia, Pakistan, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt adds a powerful layer of legitimacy to Trump's proposal, at least on the surface. And their willingness to engage signals both fatigue with the war that has destabilized the entire region and a desire to shape the post-war order.
Under the plan, Arab and Muslim countries have committed, and in writing in many cases, but I actually would take their word for it, the people I mentioned, I'd take their word for it, to demilitarize Gaza, and that's quickly. Decommission the military capabilities of Hamas and all other terror organizations, do that immediately. And we're relying on the countries that I named and others to deal with Hamas. And I'm hearing that Hamas wants to get this done too, and that's a good thing.
Yet, their support is also pragmatic. By backing Trump, they gain influence over the next steps while ensuring their own strategic interests are safeguarded. But look a little deeper and the plan begins to fall apart. First, the most obvious flaw. The deal hinges entirely on Hamas agreeing to terms it has already rejected many times over. The proposal demands the release of all remaining hostages within 72 hours of Israel's acceptance, including the bodies of those who have already died. No guarantees for Gaza's civilians, no political role in future governance, no easing of the crushing blockade. Trump insists this is the only deal possible, but in reality it is little more than a diktat, an ultimatum dressed up as peace. Second, Trump has positioned himself as chair of an international board of peace that will supposedly oversee Gaza's interim governance, alongside figures like former British Prime Minister Tony Blair.
To ensure the success of this effort, my plan calls for the creation of a new international oversight body, the Board of Peace, we call it, the Board of Peace, sort of a beautiful name, the Board of Peace, which will be headed, not at my request, believe me, I'm very busy, but we have to make sure this works. The leaders of the Arab world and Israel and everybody involved asked me to do this, so it would be headed by a gentleman known as President Donald J. Trump of the United States. That's what I want to some extra work to do, but it's so important that I'm willing to do it. And we'll do it right, and we're going to put leaders from other countries on, and leaders that are very distinguished leaders. And we'll have a board, and one of the people that wants to be on the board is the UK former Prime Minister, Tony Blair, good man, very good man, and some others. And they'll be named over the next few days.
The arrogance is staggering. At a moment when Palestinians are demanding agency over their future, Trump imagines himself parachuting in as the arbiter of peace. His ego is baked into the proposal. He sees this not as a humanitarian necessity, but as a personal political trophy. And that is the third problem. Trump's ceasefire push is about Trump, not peace. The US president has openly campaigned for a Nobel Peace Prize, and ending the Gaza war would be the jewel in his crown. Yet, his track record tells another story. Over the past 2 years, Trump has repeatedly predicted peace within days, only for talks to collapse. Each time, his words were heavy on bravado, light on substance. This new plan risks being more of the same, a photo opportunity with Netanyahu, followed by inevitable failure. The danger, however, is not just in its collapse. By tying peace so tightly to his personal reputation, Trump is raising the stakes dangerously high. If Hamas refuses, Trump has already pledged full backing for Israel to finish the job.
But if Hamas rejects your plan, Mr. President, or if they supposedly accept it and then basically do everything to counter it, then Israel will finish the job by itself. This can be done the easy way, or it can be done the hard way. But it will be done. We prefer the easy way, but it has to be done.
Netanyahu echoed this threat, vowing to crush Hamas completely if the plan falters. Far from paving the way for peace, Trump may have set the stage for an even more brutal escalation. And what of the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza? More than 66 Palestinians have been killed since the start of this war, including 17,000 children. Entire neighborhoods have been flattened, hospitals destroyed, and famine looms. Yet, Trump's plan makes barely a mention of reconstruction, humanitarian relief, or the rights of civilians. By ignoring the daily suffering of Palestinians, he has guaranteed that even if this ceasefire is signed, it will not last.
لا والله مش متأمنة، لا. لأنه محدش قادر يسيطر على اليهود، والدول سايبانا بجد، سايبانا يعني، ولا سائلين فينا ايش يعني. كل يوم يقعدوا في المؤتمر ويصبحوا تاني يوم ما صارش ايش، مش قادرين يعملوا ولا حاجه يعني. سابونا في مجاعه، سابونا عيالنا ما بيتعلموش، سابوا المرضى، سابوا يعني اشياء كتير صارت. هي سيارتنا راحت، دارنا راحت، صحتنا راحت، عيالنا ما بيتعلموش.
At its heart, Trump's 20-point plan is not a peace plan. It is a political stunt. It offers no genuine compromise, no credible pathway to coexistence, and no justice for the victims of this war. Instead, it risks entrenching Israel's occupation, sidelining Palestinian voices, and igniting a new round of violence once the photo ops fade.
طبعا انا مش متامل. اخطر من مره قال في هدنه بدها تصير وكلام فاضي، ضحك على الشعب. قالوا سلموا الاسير بصير هدنه، وقفه هدنه انسانيه. سلموا الاسير وما صارش في هدنه ولا مساعدات. مرقوا علينا، كل مره بيضحكوا علينا بيقولوا هدنه، ولا بصير هدنه ولا حاجه. احنا بنعاني من المعاناه يعني. جاي عندنا فصل الشتاء، ما فيش ماء ولا للناس النازحين، وما فيش كمان خيام كويسه للناس، واكل وشرب ما فيش.
For Trump, this is about legacy. For Gaza, it is about survival. And that is why this plan, like the ones before it, is doomed to fail. And dangerously so. With Farhan Khan, Bureau Report, India Today Global.